Good morning, everyone. It's Brenda Quintana, and it's Tuesday morning, and it's Casing Tuesday morning, and that's the day when we take a card of the catalog and we give it a makeover. And so I love today's layout. I love layouts that have a lot of layers. So let's take a look and see what today's layout looks like. Or first, we'll look at the card. So on the outset, you might not notice the background layers, but there actually are four strips of paper that go behind our focal point layer. And I love this stamp set, and I actually have it, but I always like to change things up and use a new set because I like to see what else I can do with the same layout. So if you're not familiar with measurements and stuff when you're starting out, we also have a sketch for you. And you can use this sketch here to kind of use it as a blueprint. You know, all you need to know is how to measure things. What I would do if I were starting out, I would cut all of these pieces out of computer paper and just assemble them just as you see here. And then you'll get like a nice idea of how to put everything together. My measurements will be just a little bit different than these because I always like to tweak and customize my card based on the image I'm using. But this will give you a blueprint for the card that for this particular card. Where can you find all of this? You can find it on our Facebook group. So all you need to do, oops, I need to get rid of those. Just go down below in the description of this video. I already have the links there. Click on the link to go to our Casing Tuesday Facebook group. And there you will find the cards and sketches. If you join our group, you'll also be able to post photos of the cards that you make with that sketch. So each week we have a new card with a new sketch, and you can join in each week with me and some of my friends that do this every single week. And so I'm going to jump in this morning and share my card that I made with a sketch. Let's see if I can move over here. Look, we have cherries. Look at the cherries. I love this set. It's called, it's a bundle. It's called the Sweetest Cherries Bundle. And it makes these kind of oversized cherries. They're a little bit, unless you get really large cherries, they're a little bit larger than an actual cherry. And they are just so beautiful. I've got so many good memories of growing up in British Columbia and the interior of British Columbia where I grew up in a fruit growing region, so we had an abundance of soft fruit in the summer, and cherry season was awesome. We had a cherry tree in our front yard growing up, and I remember coming back one year when I was no longer living at home, and our cherry tree had like this huge crop of cherries. The cherries looked like grapes. That's how many cherries were packed into the tree. It was just incredible. And I got out there on the ladder and I was picking and picking and picking cherries, and we were giving them away to neighbors and stuff. But cherries just bring back a lot of good memories, and that is just one of the good memories that I had with this cherry tree. So I had to get this set, and I love this layout. And I'm going to show you how I created it. And then after I've done the front of the card, we're going to put together an inside of the card, because right now my inside of the card is blank and it's a little boring. So let's do something to jazz it up on the inside. Hello to everyone who's joining me this morning. Janine, do you want to let me know how the sound is? I hope you can hear me. And let me know. I know some people on the live portion say a lag behind just a little bit on Facebook. After the video is filmed, it's fine. But if you can let me know this morning, because I've got it set up the best way I can get it. So I want to see if that's also still an issue for people. Okay. So here is the Sweetest Cherries Bundle. Look at the nice little punch that goes with it. Punches are so fast to use. You stamp and then you can punch things out. And we've got 2 leaves, a stem, and the cherry. And then we've got this beautiful bundle with fun words. And we've got this background stamp, which I'm going to be using. And the cherries, it's so wonderful. So get this as a bundle so you can save the 10% when you buy it together. The punch is wonderful on its own, but I like, you can see here on the cherry when you stamp first, this is tone on tone, the same color ink on the same color cardstock. You can get shading right away in there. And look at the leaf. It has shading on it as well. So it's really nice to use the 2 of them in conjunction. All right, plopping this over here. Let's get started. Let's start off with our card base. It's a thick basic white card base, and I just cut a regular card base 8.5 by 5.5, and I scored it in half at the 4.25 inch mark. And then I'm just going to flatten it with my bone folder here. We'll just put it aside for a second. And then we're going to take some parakeet party strips. I've got 4 of them here. And these ones measure 1.25 by 3.75 inches. And then I'm going to take a piece of scrap paper. Just set these aside, and we're going to do some stamping on here. I love this background stamp. It works really well for this. So I'll turn this here, and I'm going to put one of my pieces on here. And I'm going to use Parakeet Party ink on Parakeet Party cardstock. So just ink this up, and I'm going to line this up with the top edge kind of just centered. And stamp that. See, it just fits on there perfectly. And then I'm just going to line this up. You can kind of see right through the stamp, so and just stamp it down. And look, I've made my first background strip. And then we'll do it again. And I'm just kind of centering it, bring it down. If you can hover right over the top, which is right where my camera is, so I'm trying not to stick my head in there. If you get a real bird's eye view, it's really much easier to line things up if you're right looking down over the top of the cardstock. So I wanted to do 2 of these in Parakeet Party, and I wanted a little bit of contrast for the strips, so I did 2 of them in Parakeet, and then I did 2 of them in Granny Apple Green ink. So I'm just going to clean off my stamp and switch out my inks here. Granny Apple Green is also a very bright green. It's a little lighter than, it's a little darker than Parakeet Party. They work together really nicely, the 2 of them. So I just re-inked my Granny Apple Green. So it is a little darker than it was when I started out stamping on it. It just really needed a good re-inking. So right now it's kind of at a pretty dark strength, but even if it tones down a little bit, if it's kind of not quite as inky, it's still going to give you just a little bit of contrast between the 2 ink colors. Okay, we're coming up, just lining this up. And do it one more time. So now we have some nice little background strips for our card. Just going to clean that off, stick that aside. All right, so we have the front of our card, and I'm going to start off with one of the darker strips over on this side, and I'm just going to, once you have a pattern you like mine here, just stick with your pattern. So I'm just going to lay this out kind of the same way I did with my other one. I know some people have a hard time with strips, So, you know, if you don't like strips that are crooked, what you could do is do this. Okay, and if you do this, you know what I would do? I would cut a little bit off my strips. I would make them 1 inch wide so that I could have a little spacing in between, because right now I think they're too close together. I think it would look better if there was a little bit of space contrast in between. What do you think? Should I do one card with, I'm going to put it out to you out there, people joining with me with live. Should I do one of the cards with straight strips? I will cut about a 1/4 inch off of each of these and then space them out. Or should I do another card with the strips that are crooked? Let me know. Crooked strips again like this card, or should I do some straight strips? But I would cut these a little bit shorter. We'll move on to the next section, and you can let me know in the comments, and I will make a decision. So the next thing that I want to do is I need a piece of cardstock, and this is what's going to be glued out onto the front here. And this piece measures 3 3/4 inches by 2 3/4 inches. I'm just going to lay that there for a moment while we're deciding what to do. And I'm going to make some cherries. I've got some strawberry slush cardstock and some melon mambo cardstock here. And I'm going to take my cherry stamp, and I'm going to do the same color ink on the same color cardstock. So I'll start off with Sweet Sorbet. Did I call it strawberry slush? I hope not. It's Sweet Sorbet. After a while, like, all the names start to kind of come together, and I'm going to just stamp on here like that. Sweet Sorbet on Sweet Sorbet. And I'm going to flip this over and stamp the other one on the other side. That way I know that there's lots of space in between, and I like to kind of feed in from this side. Okay, so I've got that one. Let's clean this off. And now I'm going to do one in Melon Mambo. So Melon Mambo is a very dark pink, so I thought it'd be fun for a little contrast. You could also try this with different reds, Cherry Cobbler, Real Red, Poppy Parade. All of those are really good colors. So let's do 2 of these as well. You actually only need 3, but I'm going to build an extra cherry. Okay, so we'll put this away. And before I bring out my punch, I'm going to grab this and let's stamp some leaves. And I'm going to show you a little trick for these leaves. So when I'm stamping these, it's this one right here that will punch out your, I'm just thinking, oh, it might actually punch out this one too. I'm using this one here when I do the punching. So I'm going to line my cardstock up like this, grab my garden green ink pad and ink this up. So I want to turn this stamp the same way as this is right here. So I'm going to put it like this. That was a little close to the edge. I don't know how well that's going to punch. So we'll see. If it doesn't punch well, we'll just stamp again. Okay, so I'm just lining this up, and see now, since it's down in the corner, I'm not wasting any cardstock. Oh yeah, it punched pretty well. I'm not wasting any cardstock because I put it right in the right spot. So now I'm going to do the same thing with this corner, and I'm just going to match up my punch and my stamp again, and I'll pop that in again. Okay, I need 2 leaves, but I'm also going to make one for the inside. So I'll go to the opposite corner here and do this. And it lines up nicely. And then we'll do this. Okay, so we have 3 leaves. And then let's put this away so I don't get ink all over myself. I'm going to need some stems. So for the stems, I just take a scrap piece of garden green cardstock and I cut these pieces to 1/2 inch wide. They're about 1/2 inch wide by, oh, these ones just happen to be 2 3/4 inches long. That's a good length. But I'm going to feed this in here, and because they're nice and skinny, they just fit on this area without punching any extra cardstock out. So I've got one stem. Oh, and if you look at cherries online, images, or if you buy cherries right now, most cherries have green stems. The ones that I remember are green stems. So I'm not doing brown stems for the cherries. I am actually doing green stems because that's how I remember cherries. That's what the images look like online. So, and I'm gonna do 4 because I'm gonna do 1 extra cherry. We'll use that for the inside. Okay, so I've got some little stems, and you can see this piece started off 2 3/4 by 1/2 inch, and I used up almost all of the cardstock. So that's, you could probably even make it just a little bit shorter, maybe 2 1/2 by 3 1/4, but that gives you a handle to put it in and flip it and do the other side. So now I'm not wasting any cardstock. Okay, and then we'll punch our cherries. I could have done these strips a little bit smaller, but I happen to have this as a scrap piece of cardstock. So when you're doing this, I'll just show you. If you're doing this, if you have strips, let's see if I get this, make them a little narrower. And this one is about 1 1/2 inches wide. I think you could get by with 1 1/4 inches too. That would fit on there. And then you're going to have less waste of cardstock. But since this was already a small piece, it was unlikely I was going to use that skinny strip for something anyway. So there's 1 cherry, 2 cherries. I love punches because it's so fast. And then let's do these other ones. These ones were our strawberry slush cherries. You know, now I really want cherries. I think I'm going to buy some this week. I haven't had any yet this season. If you get some like really good ones, like they're just like the perfect amount of firm with the perfect amount of sweet. Oh, they're so good. Yum, yum, yum. All right. Okay, so I've got my pieces. I'm going to look at the comments now. Okay, let's have a look. Hello, everyone. I'm just looking at my comments. Okay, so someone said straight. Try one for a straight. Okay. Okay. Okay, Janine likes crooked better. I get it. But let's do one in straight since some of you wanted straight, and that way we'll have a contrast. So let's bring this back in and we'll do some with straight. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to cut off about a 1/4 inch because these were 1 1/4 inches, and I want these strips to be just a little bit shorter or in width, so that it looks good. So we'll do each of these. You know, you're always making adjustments. Some people really do not like crooked strips on their cards, and truth be told, I would not design a card that way generally because I like straight. I should say I gravitate towards things that are straight. So when I'm designing for myself, I generally don't do crooked things. So it's nice to have a card. That's why Casing Tuesday is great. You get to try on a different style without having to design it yourself, because if I was designing it, it would be straight layers again. So this just gives you a chance to get out of your comfort zone and not be stuck in the same zone. Okay, so I think I'm gonna like this. Let's just lay this out a little bit and let's see where we want this. See how that looks, and we'll put this on here. And then I'm just going to pop some cherries on here to see how this looks. And then I'm going to have a greeting layer that comes across here. So I want to see how that looks. I want to see, yeah, I think I'm going to keep the spread into the inside a little bit. If I spread them out too much, yeah, I think I'm going to keep them narrowed into the inside. Okay, now that I have a plan, since I'm doing this straight, I want to make sure that things are centered. So I'm going to take this is my Omni Grip. This is a centering ruler up at the top. It's got the regular measurements on the bottom. I use this ruler a lot. So basically I'm measuring 2 3/4 inches over from the side, but since I'm using my centering ruler, I have a 2 3/4 inch mark here, a 2 3/4 inch mark there. I'm going to grab a pencil and make myself a little mark, and maybe I'll do this down at the bottom too, just to kind of help me when I'm doing my centering. So I know I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to do this. Okay, so now I have a plan. If I'm going to do straight layers, I'm also going to make sure that my straight layers are centered, right? Because what would be the point if I didn't do that? And I'm just kind of eyeballing the space from the top to the bottom. That looks pretty good. Okay, and then this one will be right here. Do the 2 center strips first, get those positioned correctly. That looks good. Now I'm just lining them up according to the other one. Oops. And we'll put this one here, leaving the same amount of space as that center strip. And then this one we'll add right here. Okay. And then we'll erase those pencil marks, because if I don't do it now, I might actually send this card out with pencil marks on it, and I don't want to do that. Okay, so now we've got this layer, and I'm going to center this on here. This is the 2 3/4 by 3 3/4 inch layer, and we'll just center this pretty much perfectly around here. Oh, go down a little bit. Okay. All right, so now I need to figure out my cherry situation. So we're going to just kind of layer these cherries. Oh, you know what really helps? And what I'll show you first. Let's add the stems to the cherries. So how I do that, I just put a little bit of Tombow right at the very bottom. And then I just tuck the cherry stem right behind the cherry. And I do that first because that dangly cherry stem does take up quite a bit of space. So it's a good idea to know how much space everything's going to take up. You could also use a mini glue dot if you wanted to. Just keep in mind that mini glue dot's probably going to take up more space than what you're adhering down, because this is just a very, very tiny area of glue. Okay. I have all the stems facing the same way, but if you wanted to, you could flip some of them. So the key for me here when I was spacing these cherries out, if you want to recreate this card, is I want to make sure that this middle cherry is down below because I'm going to add this greeting right over top of this cherry here. So it looks better if there's a cherry anchoring right there in that spot. So we're going to take our first cherry and add Tombow to it. And we'll put it right about there. It's about 1/8 of an inch in from the bottom and the top. And then we'll come in with the second cherry, a little bit on the stem too. And this one is kind of down here, down below. And then this one's going to be kind of right about there. Okay. There's a great card, a sample card in the annual catalog, and it has cherries in a lot of different colors. It's really pretty. I think there's about 5 or 6 cherries lined up on a slimline card. You'll have to go take a look at it. It's really beautiful. Okay. Got those cherries. And then we'll add some leaves. Just add a leaf here. And that just kind of adds just a little bit more color to the card. See, I did one leaf one way and the other leaf the other way. Okay, and then let's go ahead, so this has a chance to dry. Go ahead and put some Tombow on this one. This is going to be for the inside one. And we'll just add a little bit of Tombow there. Tombow's such a great glue. Okay, so I've got my little cherry. I need to create 2 insides because I have 2 cards. So I've got my little cherries ready to go there. So now what I want to do is I want to create an embossed greeting for right here. So I'm going to grab my white embossing powder. I am going to grab my Versamark, and it is over here. And we are going to, where's my greeting? This is the corrector greeting. And I'm going to put birthday wishes in Versamark on here. And then we'll close this up. I dump my embossing powder into little containers like this because, especially for the ones that I use the most, so that I can just dump it right back into the container rather than doing transferring. Let me turn this over. If I give it a little flick, that usually gets some of the embossing powder off. I'm just going to grab a half. Just looking for a little brush. We are going to have an embossing buddy and a coming in with the new holiday catalog and some tweezers, and so it's going to be part of an embossing package. But for now, I am just kind of brushing off the stray flecks. Sometimes even with the embossing buddy, you will have stray flecks, so it's just good to have a little brush to kind of do that. Actually, you know what? You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go over and grab, this is the new Embossing Editions Toolkit. It's not available yet for customers, but see, here it is. The embossing buddy, there's a brush, and there's locking tweezers, which we've been missing for a long time. So the nice thing about locking tweezers is also when you're embossing, you can use them to hold your project so you don't burn your fingers. And I'm going to bring in my heat tool, and then I'm going to heat this up. And you can see the embossing powder is turning white as it melts. And I have this on the highest setting for embossing. There's two settings on the heat tool. I use the low setting if I'm going to dry something, like say you have ink that you want to help dry, like our white craft ink, then I would use the low setting for that. Okay, so this is going to come on here, and I need some dimensionals, and I am just going to use 2 dimensionals on the back of here. Pop that back in here. And I have to say a little shout out to Michelle Carter, because she has made my life a lot easier. I know I've showed this before, but I used to have my tools way over on the side, and now I can keep these right underneath my camera. These are from stampyboxes.com, and she creates these little tool holders here, and you can keep all of your things kind of right at your fingertips. It's just so handy. I have, since I've done that, I don't always show this because it's kind of off camera, but now I can keep all of my adhesives and my most used tools right there and right handy. It's been just awesome. Okay, so you can see that we need to add a few little embellishments on here. So I'm going to grab some iridescent rhinestone basic jewels. Whoops. And I'm going to just pop some of these on here. I like to do 3 when I'm doing embellishments. And I'm going to do a small, medium, and large. And just add them. See, that just adds a little bit of shimmery glimmer, which makes me happy. And then I'm going to, I tied some baker's twine earlier, and this is the twine. It is the 2022-2024 in color baker's twine pack. So if you picked up the new in colors last month, whether you got the starter kit or whether you picked up some of the new in colors with the new catalog, this baker's twine matches really nicely. There's a roll for each color, and I just tied a little tiny bow in the sweet sorbet, and I will take a mini glue dot for this. And you can do one of 2 things. Since this is a very small or thin thing, what you can do is you can put the knot on here and then kind of scrunch the mini glue dot behind it, or you can take a piercing tool, and I just kind of roll this up and make it into, I don't know if I kind of roll it up into a little tiny blob, and I'm going to put that right at the top of that cherry. You can see my little blob, and then I'll stick my knot right on that little tiny blob like that. Okay, so there are the 2 cards, and now we need to create insides. All right, guys, what is your pick? Do you like straight or crooked? So we've got 2 sort of different looking cards. You'll have to let me know which you like. And let's create an inside for this. So I have an idea of what I want to do. So I'll just put these aside for a second. So I've got a piece of cardstock here. This one measures 5 1/4 inches by 4 inches. And what I want to do is I'm going to create a little border around the card. I'm going to use Parakeet Party, and I'm going to ink this up, and I'm just going to stamp just that first row. This is really easy to do with photopolymer. You can see I just grabbed the first row off of here. And then I'm going to come around and do that. And do that. And I'm going to keep going. And that. And that. Keep going around the corner. And that. And I'm going to come and I'm going to do right here. And then I'm going to go back up to the skinny end for a second. And I'm going to come and do this. And I'm going to come off the edge like this. So now we have this tiny little space left and I don't want to overlap. So you can just take a little post-it note, or this is post-it note tape, labeling and cover up tape. It's basically just a strip of white with all that post-it note adhesive on the back. And I'm just going to cover up this little area. Actually, I'm going to use the straight side. I'm just going to cover over that tiny little end piece. Then I'm going to ink this up one last time and just add that onto there. And then when I peel this off, I've got myself a little frame. And then I'm going to change ink colors. And I'm going to bring in my Granny Apple Green. And I'm going to stamp some greeting in here. So I've got sweet. This is a really, really big stamp. So I'm going to stamp that over on this side. Sweet. And then I'm going to put this in here. It says, wishing you a sweet. I've got my cherry here. So I want to make sure my cherry fits on here. And then I'm going to put this maybe right here. Okay, so then I can add my cherry on there. Let's glue that in. You could also stamp the cherry directly onto your piece if you wanted to, but since I was stamping a bunch of them anyway. Okay, so now I have room. This is how I would orient my card. I would put the person's name up here, and then there's a little bit of room down here to write my message and to put my name down here at the bottom. Some of you may know that I am not very verbose on the inside of my cards. I spend so much time on the outside that when I get to the inside, I'm just like, oh gosh, now I need to write something really, really special. So I write something very, very short. So that's okay. Everyone's different. Some people write buy cards and write beautiful things on the inside. And some people write short messages like me, and that's all good. So I'm just going to glue this to the inside of my card. And now the inside of the card is just, maybe not just quite as beautiful as the outside, but look at, doesn't that look cute with the little edge? And you know, you took that big background stamp and we turned it into a cute little frame for the inside. So again, here are the two cards and the two different ways, the straight lines and the crooked lines. I know, it's so crazy. How can you stand it? So I don't know which one I like better. I do probably gravitate a little bit towards the straight lines, but I really liked this card when I finished it yesterday. So I think both of them are cute. Let's see. Let's see if what people like. Marty likes the crooked, straight. Okay. So we've got some mixes. So some people like the straight and some people like the crooked, and that's all good. All right, I'm going to come over to you. I know I saw some questions pop up, and we will get those answered right now. And I'll say hi to you. I'm back over here. Okay, first of all, I have to tell you that I do have a host code this month. And let me pop that up on the screen here. Here's my June host code. And if any month you spend at least $15 with me using the host code, you'll get one of my free with purchase tutorials for free. I've got over 80 tutorials to choose from. Plus, if you're ordering $50 or more with me, you will be getting a sampler pack of the Design a Daydream paper. This paper is available as a host reward, but as a 12 by 12. It's a beautiful pack. This is a 6 by 6 sampler of that paper. So that will be your reward for ordering for me. You have to order at least $50 in the month of June. And so I've packaged it all up in this little cellophane bag and just show you some of the patterns. They're really pretty. Kind of spread them out, and they're all kind of in the same color family. And then of course the back has a different pattern on them as well. So it's just a really pretty paper that you can earn for free. And this is not the actual 12 by 12. It is 6 by 6 that I've cut down for rewards. Okay. All right, what else do I need to tell you? Right now, we're having a buy one, get one kit special going on right now. If you like our Stampin' Up kits, you buy one and you get the second one free. And the cool thing is, no, you don't get the second one free. You get the second one 50% off. But the 50% off, normally when people do that kind of BOGO thing where you get the second one half off, it's the lower cost one, but with Stampin' Up, it's 50% off the higher cost one. So if you're buying 4 kits, always it will take it off the higher cost, the 50% off. So it actually saves you more money. All right. What else is going on? I'm trying to think. I think I've covered everything. So let's move on to questions and say hello to all of you this morning. Scrolling back up to the top. Good morning, Karen, and good morning, Janine. Karen says her cherry bundle is arriving today. That's great. It's just in time. Cherry season. I think cherry season is almost over in California, and now it's moving to the northern part of the U.S. So cherry season here in Massachusetts starts at the end of June, so we're about to get into it here. So it's arriving just in time to make cherry cards for the cherry season, right? Hello, Connie from Denmark. Good morning, Deborah from Virginia. Janine said the sound's okay. Awesome. Good morning, Dee. Good morning, Ellie. Good to see you. Good morning, Mary and Marty. Okay, I'm skipping over straight and crooked when we talked about that. I did say strawberry slush. Sorry, it's strawberry sorbet. The color, we had a color called strawberry slush. Many years ago. It was an in color, and then it retired. And whenever they do the same names over again, and I'm trying to think, it's not even strawberry sorbet, it's sweet sorbet. Oh my gosh, I don't know why I want to say strawberry sorbet. It is called sweet sorbet. It is one of the new in colors. I'm gonna have to repeat that. Sweet sorbet. Yes. Okay. Those colors. My shirt is sweet sorbet. Okay. Um, okay, let's look. Different people like the different crooked versus straight, and I don't think we'd ever come to a consensus on that because different people like that. Good morning, Nalita and Betty. Okay, so Ellie says her sound is all the way up and she can barely hear me. Huh, that is so odd. I wonder if my sound switched when I changed camera. I'm just gonna do a quick little check and see if my sound in my preferences is still way up. Yeah, it is. I don't know what to say, Ellie. I've got my sound all the way up as far as I can go in terms of the sound. So I don't know. I hope, like with the replay, that you can hear it better. I think sometimes with the live, it's not, the quality isn't there, and on the replay, somehow everything resets and it gets better. Okay. So Marty asked a question. Our new tweezers, they're around here somewhere, but they have disappeared for the moment. Ah, here they are. So these ends of the tweezers here are plastic. The ends of them are. So I don't know if that makes like a huge difference. I just used heat embossing and they were fine. Maybe later on they'll give us more information on the online store if this is indeed. I believe this is plastic on the end right here. But they're very solid. Like they feel really solid in my hands. So I think they're good. So this kit will be available next month, and it also has a brush, and it has a little embossing powder caddy. So we'll try that out next month. We'll try dumping embossing powder in here and see how that goes. And it's got a little cap at the bottom so that you can return your embossing powder back into your little container, because they come in these little tiny jars. But for years I've been dumping out my embossing powder, at least for the colors that I use the most, like the white and the black. I just have always dumped them into these little containers, and then I saved this little baby spoon from when Nicholas was a baby. Because it's metal and it's just really handy, and I just reuse this one for all of them. I just wipe this off. I usually wipe it off on my pants. I don't even use like a tissue or anything like that. I just like I wipe this off just in case there's stray flecks of embossing powder, and then I put it back in my little caddy. So I just, you might have a small spoon in your house that you can use. Plastic spoons tend to be staticky, so they might attract particles. So that's why I kind of like using a metal spoon. And then of course it comes with an embossing buddy, which we haven't had in a while, and that people have really missed. Which you rub your cardstock before you stamp with Versamark, so that it keeps stray flecks of embossing powder from sticking to the areas that have been wiped, but it still sticks to the Versamark area. Okay, that was a long answer to your question, Marty. I'm just reading. Deborah says it's such a cheerful card. Thank you. The whole bundle is very cheery. It's got big loopy script. It's got the big bold cherry. So it's a very fun, loving bundle. Thank you, Terry. Terry said it was a beautiful card. Dee likes the look of the crooked, but the straight is appealing as well. Good morning, Miran. Oh, you're in Boston right now. Hello, hello. Let's see. Betty says she loves the inside. Awesome. And Ellie likes the inside too. Betty said it would be a great card to receive in the mail, and she left me little cherry icons or a little cherry emoji. Thank you. Um, Marty asked, do I still have all my old in color ink pads? And the answer is no. I move on most of my retired stuff right away because I collect so much stuff, because I'm constantly buying new stuff to share with you, new products. So if I kept all my old products, I would need a storage unit pretty soon. Also, we've done some really big moves in the past, like across the country and even cross-border moves. And I do not want to amass a lot of stuff again. So what I do is, and actually that's a good segue into next week, I am having a Bogo sale. And the Bogo sale is great because all my retired product, actually you can kind of see some of it. It's a little messy. Oh, let me move out this way. See that table behind me, the low table? It has a ton of stamp sets on it. And bundles, I have a cart full of bundles and punch bundles, and they are all going to be part of my Bogo sale. And basically, you can earn my retired product for free with an order of equal value. So I'm going to list all my retired product that I have available, and you can have a look at it and decide what you want. Send me an email and I'll pull that retired product for you. I'll total it up. Most of the product, I've valued it at the original price. So a bundle that was $50 will be valued at $50. And then if you spend $50 in the online store, you're going to get that retired product for free. So you're going to get your $50 online order, plus you're going to get my $50 retired bundle that you chose. And you can choose as much stuff as you want. So you can add stamp sets, bundles, like embossing folders, lots of different things. You choose whatever you want. You let me know. I'll tell you if I still have it available. I'll total it up for you. I'll tell you how much you need to order. The only other thing you pay, you get the retired product for free, is you just need to pay for the shipping for the retired product to you. And I don't make a profit on that. So I'll tell you almost exactly what the cost will be for me. I round up a little bit because I have to also package it up and with the PayPal fees and everything like that. So if your shipping is going to be for something, you're going to pay $5 for it to be shipped to you. Say it's a stamp set. Or a bundle that I can ship in a padded envelope. It will probably be $5 to ship it to you. And that's the only other thing you pay. So you pay for your online order, and then you pay for the shipping, and then you get like retired stuff for free. So I do that every year, and my customers love it because it's a great way for them to get product that they may have missed, that they may have wanted and couldn't get. Sometimes product sells out before they can get to it. There's just a lot of great product out here, and I need to pass it on because I literally do not have space, and one day we may move again, and I always keep that in mind. Because I don't want to amass a lot of stuff and then have to move it. It's just very, very painful. If you've lived in one house all your life, you probably, you're good. You know you're not moving, but my husband's job sometimes means that we move, and I don't always know when that is. So it might not be for a long time. So I might be good for a long time, but I don't know. So that is just where my brain ends up being. So I don't keep my in-color ink pads. Karen says my volume is very low. That's just so weird because I do have a voice that projects really, really well. So I know you think I'm soft-spoken, but I actually, um, I don't know why that my voice is not coming across clearly. I'll have to like check. Um, the weird thing is when I play back my videos, like my sounds perfectly fine. So I'm wondering if it's during the live, and because I cannot recreate that afterwards, so it must be part and parcel of the live. Um, okay, Marty said the tips of the tweezers might be heat resistant plastic. I think probably that they are. Um, and yes, to keep the heat from traveling up the metal to your hand. That's probably why they did it. That's a good point. I didn't even think about that. Um, so, is my BOGO sale for non-demonstrators only? No. My team, if you want something off of my BOGO sale, you can absolutely join in my BOGO sale, but you'll have to place your order through me and not through you. And I have a special host code. It's not the one that's posted here. It's a special host code. But I send you all the instructions. So yeah, you absolutely can participate. Anyone can participate. You have to be in the US though, because I can't take orders from outside of the US. So that's kind of the only stipulation. But Puerto Rico's good, and mainland US and all of that, just as long as you can buy from my online store. And that means that you have to be a US, live in the US to do that. All right, guys, I hope you have a great week. I will be back here on Friday on my YouTube channel, and I will be bringing you either a 3D project or a fanciful card this Friday at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So I hope to see you then. Have a fabulous week until then. Take care. Bye bye.